the reality that manufacturing a product is hard. Like 90% of it is the development, is finding the manufacturer, the quality that you want. I mean, it's not easy. When you start like a little company and you're going to a manufacturer and you are telling them that you are going to start with 50 pieces, it's not easy to them to have their attention. No, it's like, okay, you only want 50. It's like you are bothering more than being like a good client. I did it this way because I like the simplicity of the product. No, it's like, okay, this is the most simple, functional, lasting product that I can do. But I will say that chefs in general are really focusing in functionality. I said I want them to feel it. Like sometimes you feel that there is someone that is trying to do the best they can.
Nicolas Grozny is the founder of Darto, a cookware company laser-focused on building simple, functional, high-quality products. In our conversation, Nicolas shares his journey from industrial design work to starting Darto. We talked about the importance of quality materials and manufacturing processes. We got into Darto's product design philosophy, and we even talked about why Nicolas has made the decision to grow slowly with a small team without relying on traditional online advertising. Enjoy the episode. Nicolas, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time to chat about Darto. And I have a lot of industrial design questions for you, along with PAM questions, and we've got a lot to cover today. Why don't we start off with your background and talk to me about all of the events in your life that led up to starting Darto. What was going on in your life beforehand?
Okay, Kevin, thank you for the invitation. And okay, I will go with the beginning. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I study industrial design that is related with product design. I work in different places before I started on my own at 26 years old, that I started as a freelancer. And at my 30s was like the key point when I was really interested in cooking. And I was curious about just going to a restaurant and learn from there instead of going to a culinary school. They were open to the idea. I worked from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for 6 months. I started from scratch, like doing like the family meal, and then I ended into the pastry meals. And there I learned a lot about cooking objects. Was without the main idea to learn about that. Well, the main idea was to go there and learn how to cook. And without knowing, I mean, when you are in industrial design, you are looking at objects in a many different ways, no? Like you are very perceptive about how they were made, the materials, the process, the manufacturing process. And all the time you are looking, okay, that probably could be better if they did it that way. Or you ask yourself why they spend that much, I don't know, material into that part and all that kind of stuff. And in a kitchen, you have lots of materials and techniques. You have ceramics, metal, plastics, I don't know, marble, whatever, and all have a specific function. And there I started learning a lot about how to cook. And when you learn a skill, I think in every field, not only in cooking, you start to distillating what is important and what is not. And you're ending with the most essential things that you need. And there was a brand, a French brand that is called the Bouillère, a very, very known brand that manufacture most of it sauté pans. And I like it a lot. I like it a lot because it was like an iron with the 3 rivets that hold the handle, and was really like a noble object that it tells you that it's going to last forever, that is only that. It's like, I am an iron skillet, I'm going to work, I'm going to last, and that's it. And some objects has that ability to, or at least I am sensible enough to feel that, that the object is telling you something in a way. And I like the simplicity of it. But I think that all of us that we were perhaps with all the non-stick pans growing up, and you see this like rustic, sometimes rust iron pan, you don't look it with that, with that care. But when you understand how it works, you see it in a different way. And that's what I like it when I start knowing about the thermal inertia that this thickness of the pan gives you, and that you can take it to any kitchen, like to the oven, to an open fire, to a really hard, and or you can take a metal sponge and really take everything that perhaps were stick there for because you burned something or whatever. And so it was really like a relaxing object. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter how bad you do things. This product we will always be there. No,
Yeah.
and I think it's something nice in an object, but also you can relate it with people and with relations. No, like it's nice to have a relation with someone that perhaps you cannot do the best all the time, or that you don't have to be careful all the time with that person. And also with the object, I feel the same. With a non-stick pan, you have to have a lot of cares about, no? Like you don't use metal things or don't really overheat it because it's going to dry the non-stick surfaces and going to go out. And at last it's going to break or you have to buy a new one. And so knowing how to cook and use this kind of pan made me think about it. I bought my own, the same brand. I started using it at home, and that's where become some particular things related with Argentina. That at that time, 10 years ago, uh, importing things for other countries was not really easy. Was even hard, and there was not so many options in the country. And because of my career, I was really like understanding about manufacturing here in Argentina, in the surrounding or in industrial areas. And so I start like looking around and trying to manufacture my own. I took the idea, like this century idea of doing like an iron skillet, but I wanted to do it on my own with my own design and with my own approach. At the beginning, it was not easy to do like the rivet parts, no, because when you start like a little company with and you're going to a manufacturer and you are telling them that you are going to start with 50 pieces, it's not easy to them. Well, I mean, to me, to have their attention. No, it's like, okay, you only want 50. It's like you are bothering more than being like a good client.
Yeah.
And it's always hard to have that conversation. And the only thing that I could achieve at the beginning was like instead of the rivets, like welding the pans. Welding is okay, the word? Well,
Yeah.
welding, no? And I did like 100 of them, and the finishing was not really good. And you start understanding that when you manufacture something, every step that you add to the product you are designing is always like a possibility of failure. No, like if you are doing a product that has 5 parts, each part has to be manufactured with a specific criteria, and each of them could fail, no, in each process. And it's a good exercise to try to reduce, perhaps not the pieces, but the process or the manipulation of the object. And so without idea or with that concept, it's like, okay, we have 2 pieces, the handle, the base, and we are welding it, or there is a rivet options. And okay, why don't we do it in one piece would be like the easiest way to think. But here, I think that comes, I mean, it happens a lot in the history of manufacturing that perhaps a lot of people in the past has the idea to do it in one piece, but there was not the technology in that time, you know?
Right.
And so I think that when I started with that question, the technology was near, like the laser cutting was a really important part of the process. Because in the past, if not, you need a really heavy molds and expensive molds that would be not so easy to do. And so I tried. And thanks. I don't know. I was lucky, and in the first attempt, the products get really well in one piece. And I start there with my first 100 pieces, and then start the business. That was
Amazing.
the key point 10 years ago.
What was the industrial design you were working on before getting into cookware? Like before you started working at the restaurant, was your focus for your industrial design work around cookware, or were you at least interested in cookware then, or was it all sorts of other projects prior to visiting this restaurant?
Arthur? No, no, it was nothing to do. I think I started my interest in culinary objects after the experience in the restaurant. Before that, uh, I was doing all kind of stuff related with design, like lamps or furniture, or and before being like freelance, I was working in a toys factory, more with pieces made of in injection molding, like all the plastic injection molding. And then I worked into a studio 1 year in which we did also a lot of different things from uh, pharmaceutical products, like audio systems. I can remember decoration objects. I mean, something that I liked a lot about my career was that that industrial design, they are like mostly like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year projects that you can go around most of the time. All the object you can like um, design all around the object, because when you are an architect or even an engineer doing a bridge, you are talking about years of a project. Or even an architect, you can only be in one part, and the other part is more related with cost and with engineering, and you cannot like play that much. Uh, in product design, even you can be in a few projects at the same times, and if you want, you can be in decoration, you can be in kitchen supplies objects. I mean, that's what I like it in my career, like the changing things. And now I am only working like related with gastronomy at this time. But at the same time, when I started this company, Darto, I understood that the company itself, I designed it as an object itself. I mean,
Mm.
it's not a physical object, the company, but I think that the the intentions that I put in how I design an object, I think that they are the same that I'm putting when I design the company and the decisions that I make. Uh,
What was the strategy for the company on day one? Like when you made those first 100 pans, what were you thinking? I really want this company to become this.
I, I have it really clear. I don't know why. I think that it happens similar to you when you talk me about that you were searching for good products, good objects, and you were a little tired of perhaps using products that doesn't work well, or they are really like made with really bad intention, or with the only intention of having only revenues and be discardable. And I think that I grew all those years like watching the companies all the time, wanted to trying to, I don't know, to take advantage of the clients. And
Mm.
I don't like to receive that from any company, even nowadays. And I was like, just nobody tried to do it like, I mean, let's do a company that works in a way that we would like to receive the way they work. And since the beginning, I was going really slowly. That was one reason. The other one was because I really know that I was a product designer and I have a lot to learn about production and running a company, even if that time was really little because I was in my own. But I took really like, let's say, bold decisions that we even kept at the moment. Uh, for example, we never give or receive checks. That in Argentina was really common in that time. Like they give you like a check that you can only change 90 days. Uh, in 90 days. Um, I never used like ads. I never used influencer in that times. Um, and I wanted to do like an old school. I manufacture 100, I sell them. I manufacture 200, I sell them. I manufacture 400, I sell them. And I didn't ask for any like fund to the banks. I like my piece was really in the middle of the table all the time. It's like, okay, yeah, if I'm going to do this, I don't want to run I just want to do it. Because sometimes when you take responsibilities in other aspects, like asking for money for someone or making a relation with an influencer or whatever, perhaps that situations make you take decisions that you don't want for the company because you are in a responsibility to the other part. And so was like, okay, I will do it on my own ways. Another thing, when I started having some help, some employees, and we still have it, since we started 10 years ago, nobody that works in Darto works more than 5 hours a day. Except now that we have it's the first time there is a product designer working with us, and it's 6 hours, 1 hour more. But yes, it was like, I mean, it was like a challenge to myself. Like, let's try it. Let's try to have a company that can pay. I mean, people that work 5 hours in Darto, they are having, I would say that nowadays, like a whole salary. It's not like they have like a half salary.
Right.
And that's it. I mean, that was like the main points. Perhaps I am forgetting something, but you lose some sales for sure in the middle. But I think the inertia that you get gives you a lot of peace, because one you start selling, the word to mouth starts spreading around, and it's really hard for your monthly sales to really move hard. No, when you are doing ads, advertising or influencing, or it's like you have like peaks, and you have to maintain that if you want. No, and also I was really careful not to have like fake incomes, in the way that when you do advertising, you get a lot of sales, and sometimes with that money you think that it's going to become every month in the future, and you design the structure of the company in related with that income. And when that income is not there, you have employees, you have an office, you have a lot of things that you have to maintain, and you have to still doing ads, and it's going to be forever. And that's something that I'm, let's say, afraid of. Like, I don't want nothing to make me take like wrong decisions because I overgrow. I don't know if
Yeah. It's like an unnecessary risk, almost like in tennis when you make an unforced error. Like
yeah,
you hit the ball too far and it's like you didn't even make the other person try and get it. Like you just messed up and no one forced you to do it.
yeah,
And I hear you when you say that. I think there are a bunch of companies that without being forced to, they make a bunch of errors because they're trying to move quickly and they're trying to grow as fast as possible, and that ends up being the downfall later on. I'm curious to learn how you said you started with these first 100 pans. How did you get that off the ground? Like, what was before you had word of mouth? Because now everyone knows, I mean, not everyone, but many people know about Darto now. You have a good word of mouth system going. You've been alive for 10 years as a company, and you have people who love these pans and talk about them. How did you start that on day one? For someone who's listening to this saying, I want to design a product, I have a great idea, but if I don't run ads, how will I ever find someone? What did you do in those early days?
well, I think there were two things that helped me a lot. The first one, the restaurant where I was working was really well known, and nowadays it's closed, but was really well known in that time. Was, let's say, one of the best 50 restaurants in Buenos Aires. And the chef there, Fernando Ara, helped me a lot. I mean, I get to him and I said, can you give me, like, I don't know, 20 of the most famous restaurants or chefs here in Buenos Aires? And he gave me the emails or the name, and that helped me a lot to at least have these chef's attentions, because I came in the name of Fernando. They picked me up the phone or received me in their restaurants, and from that point I was on my own with my object, and I was just taking my bag, put the pan in the bag. Even the first one were the one that were with the well, because there were really not so many offers in the country in that time. I think that was really like a dry market, no? I really remember like some of them taking the object and say, thanks God, someone is doing something like really functional, no? And I'm not going to buy every month a new pan with this one. And in that point, it helped me a lot, the help of this chef. And then after that was again, was really like in the city was like taking the bike, taking the bag, and going like in the but also when you work in a restaurant, you understand not only the objects but also the kind of restaurants that there are out there, and so it's really easy for you to put your efforts in the restaurant that really are value. For example, value for your intentions. For example, I was not going to a restaurant that was like a restaurant that have many others in the country, that the decision of buying a pan was made by a board that is in an office in the main seat. No, most of them were restaurants that were the chef was even the same owner of the restaurant. They were small. They really were like artists in the way that they put all their days and life into doing the best meal. No, that there are that kind of restaurants, and those are perhaps the clients that would listen to you, and also I think that they will appreciate this kind of products that they needed. And so I visit most of them. Even I did that in Spain, but was not the same. I don't know, because if I was not from Spain or whatever, but it didn't work as easy as it works in Argentina. And I did it a little bit in San Francisco afterwards. Uh, um, and that was like the beginning. Yes, I think that when you understand your product and you really understand that your product has a real value that nobody can discuss, that has a value. I mean, when you have that kind of product, even if it doesn't have the best finishing or you're only doing a few of them, you can step in front the place that you need and show it. And for sure, the person that needs it will perhaps will not buy it, but will respect you and say this is a good product, and that will give you like a lot of. It will encourage you to go. That was the raw beginning. Then there were other things that make Darto go even a little further, no? If you want.
Yeah. What was the feedback like from those chefs that you spoke to in the early days? And did you incorporate any of that feedback into evolving the product, from that first one piece product to where it is today?
I mean, I think that most of the feedback was related with the functionality. Like, I think
Mm.
that chefs are really focused in what they want to do, in what how the meal is going to end, and they understand how the kitchen supplies works, and they want things that let them do what they know, that is to cook, and so was not how was really design or the stylish of the product or whatever. It was really, this is a 3 millimeter iron pan. They saw it. It's not going to break. Give me one. I
Yeah.
mean, in my side, I am a product designer and I like a lot, not even to have a functionality, but also give a really a good finishing in the product. And also I put my own style in the design and my own decisions, but that's on my own. But I will say that chefs in general are really focused in functionality. And then, I mean, nowadays my main clients are not chefs. I mean, a lot of chefs buy me a lot of pans also, but I think that 90% of our clients are people that like to cook. And in an everyday house, perhaps being more over details and that kind of things can help, no? Because you live with that product or you have it in your kitchen or whatever. But again, I
Yeah.
think functionality was most of the feedback that I received.
One of the things I immediately noticed when I bought my Dardo pan was how simple it was. And you kind of alluded to this earlier, but I'm mystified a little bit about why other companies don't take that same approach of simplicity. Like all the other pans, I mean, not every single pan. There are some cast iron ones that will come in one piece, but a lot of the other steel pans that I've seen, and even the pan you mentioned earlier with the three rivets, um, a lot of them are multiple pieces. Why aren't any of the other brands taking this approach of making that one, single piece? Why are they not like so focused on simplicity in the same way that you are, I think?
I asked that question myself also, even after 10 years, like, oh, in my
Yeah.
mind, the time is, okay, why all these brands are not doing this already? Like, uh, but I don't know. I think it's a mix of things. I mean, that when you are really a big brand, making these kind of changes or adding this kind of technology, like the laser cutting, and also I think that let's talk about the Bouillard. For sure, they sell like thousands of pans and modifying like or losing like 10 grams or not taking advantage of all the sheet metal of the of or the that they took to manufacture the pans, having some scrap a little bigger than the scrap they're having now with this technology, will make a losses of a lot of money. And I think they take decisions more related with revenue nowadays if the product that they are selling is going well, no? Um, and also, I think that when you are big, it's hard to make these changes. But for sure, I think that someone is going to do it. I don't know who. Uh, but also, I don't know. For example, All Clad is a brand from United States uh, that I like it a lot, and they have rivets, and it's okay. I mean, I did it this way because I like the simplicity of the product. It's like, okay, this is the most simple, functional, lasting product that I can do. Because when you design, you're all the time taking like it's like a balance, no? That you say, okay, I am taking. It's true, my handle is not the most ergonomic handle of the market, for sure, it's not. But okay, what do I need to do an ergonomic handle? Okay, I have to do this and that, and that takes you perhaps make you a most costly product, or is heavier, or perhaps if you put a plastic or a wood handle, you cannot use it in the oven or open fire. Uh, and that's it when you are defining your style and to whom you are oriented, as clients. Uh, but as I tell many times, it's like my product is one of so many. I mean, I'm not doing like the best pan of the world. I'm doing a kind of pan, and whoever likes the simplicity and the versatility of it, here you have it. But
Right.
I don't know the main reason why they don't do it nowadays. I, let's see what happens. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
there are some brands already that are doing some things. I mean, conceptually the same. I mean, there is some brands out there. The ones that
Mhm.
I know appear afterwards, uh, uh, but that doesn't matter. I mean, it's okay.
Right. Now, I know very little about Argentina, but the one thing I know is that you're well known around the world for having great steaks and
Yes.
for and cooking meat.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've pulled from the culture in Argentina around cooking? And I think carbon steel is also like a great material to use for specifically for cooking something like a steak. Is there anything that you have pulled from the culture that has gone into the pan that maybe other companies have a difficult time replicating?
The first thing that came to my mind, I think, is simplicity. Like here, like there are a lot of ways of cooking meat around the world, and here, I mean, the most simple thing, I mean, that a really traditional way to cook meat is to have like a wood stick on an iron stick, and put it into the ground, and make the fire in the ground, and put like a big piece of meat over there, and you take your knife, and if you take a bread, and you take a piece of meat and put it in bread. Even there is a really old um, Disney, Walt Disney came to Argentina many years ago, like 50 years ago or more, and he even made like a cartoon related with that simplicity. And perhaps you can find it in YouTube, like put Argentina Disney World, and you will find the famous gaucho. That is like extreme simplicity, like an open fire, meat, knife, bread, and that's it. But mostly here we call it asado, the barbecue, is quite simple most of the time. It's like a fire, a place where to put the meat, and that's it. And the Argentinian in general, I think that have quite a simplicity in that way. There are also the exceptions. Also, people from the city is different, but that I mean that they perhaps they like more gadgets. But that is something that came to my mind. I think that perhaps was cultural, but also I think that me as a designer, I like the simplicity. Sometimes sometimes we talk about if there is like an Argentinian identity in respect with design, because in the past you can really relate design with some countries. No, it was Italian design, Scandinavian designs, German, I don't know, French design, even from United States, the styling, and I think that nowadays, because of globalization, it's not so separated by country. I think the design styles are more separated by intention. You can feel really related with the designers of many other countries in the way they approach the product, no? Even if we're from different cultures. I feel a lot of identification with many designers that I don't even know, but I think for sure that we all hang around, no, one day and have a meal. We will all like, for sure, have a good conversation, because you can see it, no? They want it to be honest in the design. They wanted the best. They try to be generous with the material if it is needed. They wanted to reduce things that perhaps are only going to contaminate unnecessary and that you don't need it. For example, you talk about our packaging in the video you made. For me, I mean, I'm going to do something like a package that's going to be thrown out like the minute you receive it. I mean, which is the less contamination we can do. No, we don't need like a really 4-color printing with a polypropylene plastic around it and with a lot of books that tell you things that you already know.
Yeah.
And so, yes, in Argentina, you can perhaps grew up with a cultural way of thinking, if you say, but I think that nowadays I can connect more with people all around the world, and I don't think there is like an Argentinian style, no, or that kind.
Yeah. I guess one other benefit of building such a solid pan and having it like 3 millimeters thick all the way through steel is that you can just put it in that paper bag and put it in the cardboard box, and it almost doesn't matter if the FedEx guy or whoever's delivering the product, if they throw it, if they drop it, if they like bump it, like it's so solid that you almost don't even need that extra packaging and wrapping. Whereas I think some kind of more delicate products or things that are made with cheaper materials, they may have to like layer on additional pieces of packaging and wrapping just to make sure that nothing ever touches it. But when you build a solid product, it's like no matter what the packaging is like, it's still going to be a solid product when you receive it.
Yes, for sure. No, our products is really hard to get to break in the shipping. Sometimes it happens that they're really mistreated, but also we made like a really brown box, but I designed it myself to the most little detail of that box. But I think that I spent more time designing that box than the pan, I would say.
Really?
No, really. Because, okay, it's really nice. I think that is the same approach with the pan. Okay, we are having like raw iron. Okay, but let's give this iron the best design we can do with it. And also with and I like that contrast in having like a really like a basic material and just twisting some stuff, giving it a lot of identity. And even if you can see like a brown box, and most of our clients see just a brown box, um, it happens that some clients came, very few of them, into perhaps into the store, and said, "Who designed these boxes?" Like they understand that there was a mind like really thinking in the little details, how it folds and how it puts all the. And I remember when I was a child that my father, in one of the, perhaps he traveled, he brings some strange stuff, like I don't know, like a wood toy from a country like Norway or something like that. And I remember a lot, like open the box that was like a brown carbon box, and I spent more time with the box but with the object inside, because you can see like a lot of little details. It was not like okay, who manufacture boxes? Okay, give me 100 of them. And it happens also. There was a client that asked me to. He said, "Okay, I would like to do the boxes that you do. Where do you manufacture?" And I gave them the contact of the manufacturer of the boxes, but the mold of our boxes is ours. I mean, they cannot manufacture to others. And this company offers like their own version of the brown box in the similar dimensions. And they call me back and I say, "Hey, they want to use your mold because they say that there was not the same, no?" And that's something that I like. Not everyone saw it or see it every day, but I feel comfortable that I care about it. And I think
Yeah.
that overall, without paying attention, I mean, I don't want clients to see it. I said I want them to feel it. No, like sometimes you feel that there is someone that is trying to do the best they can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's more metaphysics. I don't know. It makes sometimes. I mean, you can be very logical, but sometimes some kind of things you just feel them. There's no explanation about it.
One other unique attribute of your pans is that you have a section on your website that basically says these pans arrive unseasoned so that the user can experience the improvement of the product, so that you can avoid unnecessary resource consumption, and so that you can maintain affordable prices. And I think that's another interesting angle. Like even when I look at other, cast iron pans, for example, many of them arrive seasoned already. I think there are a couple that are unseasoned, but it's very rare. It's mostly like someone who produces a pan, if it needs seasoning, they've almost always done it ahead of time. But you make a good point that there are very few products in the world that have the potential to get better after they're purchased, right? Like maybe leather products, maybe carbon steel pans. There's probably only a handful I can count on my maybe jeans if you like a certain wear in your jeans. But was this approach that you came up with to make sure they were unseasoned, was that something you thought out from the beginning, or was it only after you realized, hey, these pans are getting better and better as you season them, that then you decided to not do any seasoning up front for the customer?
The reason was that I think that the client needs, I mean, if I season it already, the client will receive it, will use it, and all cast iron or carbon steel pans in their use for different reasons can lose the seasoning. And when they achieve to that point, it's like, okay, what's this? It's not working anymore, or what is happening? And it's like you feel like the product is getting worse, and you never learned to do that. And I think that one of the things that I don't like in many approach of some companies is that they want to do everything for the client, no? Like a father to their kids, that they wanted to do everything to them, no? That don't worry about it, I will season it for you. Don't worry about it, I will do for you. No, you don't have to do anything. So buy it because I am the most comfortable option. And no, wait a minute. You have to learn how to do it. And the best for you is to receive it raw. I mean, without seasoning. And
Yeah.
this is how we start. This is a starting point. And something that I feel myself, and I'm not asking to everybody to feel it, but is that, okay, you have it now from scratch, and now you start seasoning your own. I feel that there is a sensation that it becomes yours. No, it's not like everybody. It's my own seasoned pan, and you feel like a connection with the object in that way because you are taking care of it in what you can take care of an object. And the main reason was that. I mean, you have to learn it after or before. I really wanted to do it before, and I think that also it's like I am spending a lot of resources. I mean, I can do it, but I really have you have to move a lot of tons of metal and the ovens and the fires up. When at the end is the first thing that you're going to do when you open your pan, you're going to put it into the stove and heat it. And so it's really necessary all that. Well, I think don't. We don't. And also the main reason is that so you to learn. Okay, yeah, it's something that you don't like to, but you will I think that you will thank us afterwards. Like, okay.
Right. And the customer learns to respect the process of seasoning, respect what it is doing to the pan, how that seasoning helps it become nonstick. And there are plenty of examples of companies in history that have chosen to make the customer work a little bit to do something. For example, Betty Crocker, they make like pre-made cakes in America, like a cake mix essentially. So they found this is way back in the 50s. I believe the case study was they initially designed this cake mix with everything, all you had to do was add water and you make a cake.
Yes.
And at the time, it was I think a lot of housewives were baking cakes for their family, and they felt guilty because all they had to do was put water. It felt like it wasn't theirs.
Yes.
Like they didn't make the cake themselves. And so Betty Crocker found that if they required the cooker to add eggs as well,
Yes.
they all of a sudden felt like it's more like it's their cake. So the sales went up as soon as they added eggs, and maybe they added milk as well or something. But they added like one or two little steps that the chef now had to do in the kitchen. And they didn't have to. They could have just made it water, but they chose to pull back a couple steps because the customer wasn't feeling fulfilled after they made it. They didn't feel like it was theirs. And IKEA could be the same way with furniture, right? Like they kind of make you assemble it yourself. It's not that difficult to assemble, but it makes you feel a little bit more like the product is yours.
Yes.
So I hear you. There's definitely precedent for that. One other thing I want to talk about is the idea of moving slow and being small. These are two themes, slow and small, that I've heard you mention a couple of times. And I want to double down on this and figure out what are those advantages that you get as a company to moving slowly? Because now the company's been around for about 10 years, and you have a pan, a paella pan, and I think you have a fruit juicer.
Yes.
And so you got about 3 products, and over the course of 10 years. Whereas I think some companies would race and they'd try and produce 50, 100 products, many products a year. And I think many companies also try and grow really quickly, which we kind of touched on earlier. What are the benefits you get to being slow and to remaining small as business?
I took sometimes when I have these conversations with some friends or with colleagues, and I didn't study business, but I always wonder if when in the universities or in the masters that they teach about business, there is a question that is how much is enough? No, because I wonder that with many big companies, like how much is enough for you to stop selling more? No, it's like really, how much do you need to sell? How much money do you need to earn? Like, and sometimes I do these questions when people ask me about why I don't do advertising, and I say, let's imagine your company start doing advertising and you start earning a lot of money because you have a good product also. And year comes and you start raising money, more money, more money. So the question is, how much money do you have to earn for you to stop doing advertising? And I think that nobody asked that question to themselves, because in my opinion, the best place to be is that. I mean, a really nice company is a company that don't need advertising. It's like, it's so healthy enough, in my opinion, that it sells enough for the owner and for the people that work for the company. It sells enough to manufacture or develop new products if it needed. And that's, everyone has their own enough. I mean, there is someone that wants to have millions of dollars. There is people that just can have a really nice life with whatever they need. And when I started with Darto, I started with I don't know, my needs were very few, but also I was very passionate about it. And I think that when you have this kind of passion, and you like the results and you really enjoy people using something that you develop and that the intentions are clear, I think that you fulfill a lot with that intangible thing. No, also money you need to live and to pay taxes and to pay everyday living, but I really felt really nice with that, and that I think that made me go really slow in understanding that. Also, I don't want it to put into the market things just because I have the clients, no. But yes, understanding how much is enough for each other, for each of us, I think it gives you a really good parameter of how much you would like to work through. And for us nowadays, is really enough. We are really a small company. As I told you, we are only 5 nowadays. And also, I don't know, it mixes with a lot of things. It mixes like the reality that manufacturing a product is hard. Like 90% of it is the development, is finding the manufacturer, the quality that you want. I mean, it's not easy. And also the way we do it, we do it with our own money. We're not asking for money or for investors. I think that when you found your company, invest with investors, is like you owe them, no? And you have to pay this back in a way. And that makes you take a lot of decisions to accelerate things, no? Okay. I think that's the main reason why we do it slow. And also not to manufacture unnecessary things. For example, some clients ask us to manufacture, how do you call it in English?
Like
the lid.
like a pot.
Yeah, but the part of the top is the lid.
Oh yeah, the lid. Yeah.
The lid. And they ask, why don't you manufacture a lid for your pants? And we can. I mean, it's not something difficult. But I think that, I mean, this is my approach. It will look perhaps a little bit bad, but if nobody use a lid for cooking in a pan, you can use a lid for your casserole, but for the pan, and for the few people that will need it, and for the few times they will need it, is like really unnecessary. And that's some decisions, like not to do unnecessary things. The juicer was something that was grown up in the pandemic, and I think we really made a good change in that aspect. But
Yeah.
well, the overall is that how much is enough. That's I think that trying to answer your question about why we do it slow.
Right.
And also,
I'd love to hear your framework for designing a new product. I imagine you have many ideas in the back of your head of, could we make this? Could we make this? How do you sift through those ideas and determine which ones are necessary, which ones are potentially useful to Darto that makes sense under your business, that could be helpful to a customer? how do you come up with and like determine which ideas you pursue and which ideas you leave to the side?
Uh, I I basically I let's say it this way. I have the freedom, let's say, because not everyone have it, to design the things that I think that is needed to my own, in a way that I understand that I am sure there is many people as me outside there. It's not that I am asking what people want. Most of the time, even with the pan happened the same, and mostly with the juicer. The juicer that we designed was, hey, this manual juicer that it has been with us like 200 years already is not working good, and nobody's doing something different. Simple, well done, and with a change in the functionality in a way that is easy to squeeze the juice in an orange. And when I start with an idea, in that case, was like, I needed myself this. And I think there's a lot of people outside that will need it the same way. How many there are, I don't know. But I encourage when someone asks me about starting like a project or something like that, I encourage them in the idea to do, find something that you would like to have that you don't find it outside. You really want it, no? For example, I have a friend that likes a lot of motorcycles, and he was not finding like a really good jacket to the kind of motorcycling that he do, and that was the starting point. Like, okay, I will do it this way, and he started designing it, and now it's just recently coming out. But I think that's a really nice starting point. Not every company can take that freedom. Sometimes they do a lot of, how do you say, focus group and all that kind of stuff. But again, we are a small company, and I think we can decide. Now we are about to take like a little barbecue out that we are in the middle of the development, and it's really, I don't know what is going to happen. I mean, here in Argentina, most of the person that I show it is like, why so little? Like, you know. But I think that is something that I will use, and nobody's doing it. And they are doing really huge barbecues with a lot of utensils and suppliers and things that I really don't like, because it takes you out of that simplicity that we talked early about the barbecue here in Argentina. And I want something simple, small, well done, well designed. And I think that's the decision, the way we decide to develop a new product. Right?
So you're in the process of building in the product development process of this miniature barbecue, essentially?
Yes. I don't have it right here.
How do you, I'd love to hear how you battle test this idea. Like, one day you came up with this idea, I'm going to build a miniature barbecue. Then you probably had some sketches. You probably went through some actual 2D modeling, and then maybe, I don't know if you're at the stage of 3D modeling, but can you walk me through that process of how it goes from the idea to production, and what is actually required behind the scenes? Because I think a lot of consumers don't see that side of manufacturing. They don't know what happens. All they know is they click the button and click buy, and it arrives on their doorstep 5 days later. What actually happens behind the scenes when you create a new product?
Well, I mean, in a simple way, and let's take this barbecue object as an example. Yeah, in my way, I have the feeling. I think that most of the products that I really want to become real, I feel it here in my guts, and I said these have to be real, and I start like thinking in my head like how. I mean, I have like the exercise of thinking, okay, which material we choose, like a sheet metal pressing, or are going to do like a cast iron one. This in particular is going to be cast iron. But you start drawing like different approach, and something that perhaps divide designers in the world are the one that design more in a stylish way without knowing how things are made, because they are outside. There are a lot of industrial designers that are really good in the stylish and in designing really nice and pretty things, but sometimes are really hard to become real. Or even in many big companies, the designers do like a really nice drawing and they give them to the engineers, and the engineers take that drawing and make it manufacturable. But in that process, it's very, very common that the engineers, because they wanted to make it easy to manufacture, to use less resources, to do it cheaper and not to be so expensive to manufacture, they twist a lot of the most beautiful parts of the first design this designer did. And some companies don't take care about that. And you can see it in a lot of objects. Like, okay, here is intervention of an engineer who wanted to the product be cheaper in the consumption of material or timing or whatever. And in the other hand, you have other designers that question more the things. Like, for sure they were in that company. I said, no, but why they did it that way? No, because, well, okay, let's talk with the engineer and let's have a conversation. And he will tell me, okay, don't do it that way because the mold is going to be 5 times more expensive. Okay, but in which way? And so you are dealing how to do it the most as the real version was without being over expensive. And in my case, I was all the time very curious about the design, the manufacturing process, because I didn't want it to my design be modified by the limitation of the process. And so since the beginning, I try to learn a lot how things are really made and where they are conditioned. And so going back to your question is, you think the idea, you draw it, but in my case, when I start drawing the product in simultaneously, I come and go with the manufacturing limitations. And so when I'm doing this barbecue, there is a lot of things that cast iron can and cannot do. And so you're like designing in real time without limitations. And that's something really nice. I mean, wow, I like it. I enjoy that part. And then you do like 3D modeling. Like, again, there are designers that don't care about 3D modeling. It's not their field, or they don't care. But in my case, I'm really a fanatic to make the 3D modeling really as I imagine the product. Because here again, what I'm trying to tell is that since you start an idea, there are a lot of barriers that can change the objects since the main idea. When, for example, 3D modeling is not very easy to do in a way that you end with the design you really intend to. There are a lot of designers that don't know how to use the software of 3D modeling, and they end up with the model 3D modeling that they know how to do, but it's not the original version. I'm making myself clear with this.
Yeah.
Like it's like being a carpenter and doing a table that you know how to do it because you only know how to use 2 tools. No?
Yeah.
But the main idea was a really organic table with a really organic legs, but you just do a square one because you only know how to use like 2 tools of all your carpentry. And with modeling it's the same. And I am really fanatic, and I really wanted to end with the design that I really intended to, and so I spent a lot of time with that. I think in the pan you cannot see it that much, but you can see it in the orange juicer. Okay, you 3D model it, and then you do nowadays 3D printing. And with the 3D printing, you can really see proportions and functionality stuff. And in this particular case with cast iron, you can take even the 3D printing and send it to the manufacturer, and they can do like a one-piece prototype. And then you try it. You try it with fire, you cook into it. You can do a few of prototypes and send them to different chefs. In our case, that we're talking about food suppliers, food things, objects, sorry. And then you manufacture the real mold, like the final one, that in that case will give you like more a precise finishing, and also it will low cost a lot, so to manufacture it. And that would be the example. I mean, this is one material, one piece, but when you have I don't know, when you have to design a car, for example, there appears a lot of different designers, engineers, ergonomical, I don't know, leather people. Uh, there's infinite people that works around the car, for example. That
Yeah.
they are also.
If you were to start Dardo again, knowing what you know now, if you could go back 10 years, are there any big changes you would make to either the structure of the company or to the way you've assembled the products? Anything you would change, do differently?
That's a good question. Not in particular.
Hmm.
You know, I, I cannot think of anything specific. All the journey was really nice since we started. I mean, nowadays we know a lot of things that we didn't knew in that time that make things a lot easier. Uh, but all the time you are dealing with your own and with other people's. I mean, we have a lot of problem with the suppliers or with the manufacturers because you're all the time like having like argues about what you can do, what they cannot do. I mean, people that manufacture your things want them to do the thing the easier way to them, but the easier way to them is not the best way for you. And this problem have me and the most big companies in the world. They're all the time like dealing with I am sure that Foxconn, that is the one that manufacture Apple products, are having in a totally different level the same complaints. Like, okay, you want to do this quality, but for us is a problem, and for me it was the same. But it's the ability to solve them and to be plastic with that, because sometimes when you argue too much with suppliers, you have to know when is the time to say, okay, we cannot work anymore. I have to find someone else. And at the same time, you have to have some plasticity, you know. And I think that that's like a negotiation in any field, you know.
Right. I guess that's another benefit of having not only a small team, but like a small network of suppliers. If you only have two or three products, you maybe only have a handful of suppliers or a few people you work with, and you can kind of bring them all into one room and say, okay, here's the plan, here's what we want to do. Let's all get on the same page, and you can maybe move faster than a company with 10,000 people and 5 different departments that are all working together on different parts of the project. So maybe that's another benefit to remaining small.
Yes.
I want to finish this conversation off asking about extraordinary products in your life. So you are a product designer, you've been doing this a long time. I'd love to hear some of the other products outside of Dardo that you use regularly, that you really enjoy, that are thoughtfully designed or really well built.
I'm very simple in my decisions, but I don't know. I have a brand, a Japanese brand that I like a lot that have like a good equation in what is like do you know the Muji brand?
Yeah.
Well, the translation of Muji, I don't know if you know, but the translation of Muji means no brand.
Interesting.
And when I first find this brand that nowadays is most of the main cities around the world, but they also are like, even in the target that they are playing, they are like quiet, no? Like, okay, where are these? And when you buy like a t-shirt from them, you see it in the back, I only said large, the L of large or XS, nothing more. It doesn't say like Mochi or whatever. And the brand, I read the story not so far ago. They started in Japan in a supermarket, like a really like a, and they say, and the main idea was we would like to manufacture a good enough quality product, like a really good cotton T-shirt or a good cotton trousers, without being over expensive and without showing that we are this brand, this brand, this brand. And that is something that I like in an overall brand. And it's simple. It's like it looks like a clear intention, and it's a place where I used to go and buy some basics. That was what come to me now. I don't know if it is like a kind of answer for that.
That's a great pick. I was recently at their store. It's MUJI is the spelling for anyone who's listening. I was recently at their store in Canada here, and I had no idea they made so many different things. I had heard people talking about their pens as being really nice to write with, but I went into the store and it's like they've got clothing, they've got all sorts of they've got everything. They've got even organizing tools for your desk and things like that. So yeah, I have to look into the brand more deeply, but that's a great pick.
Yeah, it's nice. I bought some trousers, but also kitchen supplies. They are very basic and well done, and they're really
Yeah.
good. That's a brand that I like. And objects in general, most of the time I like objects like very simple. Most of the time, I am not coming with any specific one at the moment. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat. This has been awesome. I learned a ton. I'm sure the audience will as well. Where can listeners go to learn more about you and Darto?
Well, for outside Argentina, our web is Darto International, DARTO, dartointernational.com. And you can write us or just see the products over there.
Yeah. Email's the best way to reach you, eh?
Email at the moment is the best way. Also, you can call and we will receive the call. But
Awesome.
also, thank you, Kevin, a lot for this conversation. I hope I could be clear with everything that we are talking about.
Yeah, it's amazing. And honestly, like a really great product. Keep up the great work. Excited to see what you guys build next. And who knows, maybe I can have you on again after your barbecue launches.
Yes, for sure. I will let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Kevin.